What's the saddest thing to hear? It's okay, I'm used to it. As a response to, I was that kid. My parents ran a restaurant, so if they came to my events, they'd have to close the restaurant. I understood, but it doesn't make it feel any better to understand. I cried a lot as a child, but once I hit the 3rd grade, I pretty much became numb to it. All I can say is this: if your mom is a good parent in other aspects, then it's not that she doesn't care. I'm sure if circumstances were better, and she had better off days or better hours, she would point. If it's the opposite and she's a not so good mom in other aspects, then there's a probability she's not that great as a person. Her attendance may do more damage than good. And while her actions probably make you feel like she doesn't want to spend time with you or care about you, please don't let that define you or how you think of yourself. She will regret missing all those milestones with you, and in the future, you will feel better knowing she wasn't there to ruin it. Find someone else to share your accomplishments with. Someone you trust and someone who cares for you. If this is the case, my PM is always open for you, and for anyone else reading this. I'm sure tons of other fellow Redditors feel the same as well. I grew up in an environment like this, only it was more how my parents treated us than what they gave us. I want to go out with friends. I have to bring my younger sister and be back by 9 PM. Brother or sister want to go out? They can go alone and come back at 4 am. I get a B in a single progress report. Insta-grounded and get yelled at for days. My siblings get a C or D. They get a light 2-minute scolding and only have to promise they'll do better. Younger brother verbally and emotionally abuses me and renders me homeless during a 1-hour engineering semester. You have to forgive him. You're being dramatic. Why are you staying with your boyfriend? That's so sinful. Same brother attempts suicide because that shitty ex of his who also abused me left him, and I stand there feeling nothing, not happy, just empty. How can you be so cruel? Why do you not feel sad for your brother, you selfish monster? I'm now required to deal with him at my graduation ceremony because parents do not want him to feel alone, but they were happy to blame everything on me and make excuses for him while he abused me. Fact favoritism. It always eventually leads to heartache and abuse. My heart goes out to the kids out there being the least favorite or scapegoat of the family. It leaves one with so many mental problems it hurts, yet many times they are expected to smile through it all or face consequences. And to all the parents that pull this sheet, you're screwing over your favorite as well. That child will grow up entitled and blame all of their failures on everyone else. Perpetually have the maturity of a child and never learn to take responsibility and lack the drive to make something of themselves. It's no one else's fault but your own, and you deserve every ounce of misery that comes from it later down the road. I knew this girl for like 10 years because of Girl Scouts, but didn't become real good friends until high school. I'd never had like a sleepover with her outside of Girl Scouts activities. When I slept over, I could hear her dad screaming at her brothers for not cleaning up the game room and some other stuff. And then screaming at his wife, my Girl Scout leader, for whatever the boys did or didn't do. I was so scared, and my friend just kinda ignored it. I was like, wow, he sounds really upset. Are your brothers okay? And she basically told me it was a normal occurrence in her house. I remember walking out to go to the bathroom, and one of her brothers who likes to act like a tough asshole was crying and cleaning the bathroom. I always had a weird feeling about her dad. Like he liked to act like the good funny suburban Christian dad when everyone was around, but even when I was young, I felt like he was really condescending. No one in that family deserved that sort of treatment from him. One of them brothers they had adopted a few years prior from China, and I felt like he was so unfortunate to have such a shitty dad and a brother who took things out on him because he felt like shit too. Anyways, TLDR, saddest thing is when you learn your friends have one or two shitty parents who act like shit and they're so used to being screamed at all the time. For me, the saddest moments are when they can still have a normal expression while saying it. If someone says I'm used to it while crying, it kinda means they're not really used to it. There was a kid in my class when I was around 8 years old that was really unpopular because he was poor and often got bullied. After a while he found his place as the guy that does stupid shit and hurts himself to try and fit in. There was actually a toughness session, but in reality it was just people beating the ever-loving shit out of him, while he just stood there without reacting, as well as him putting out cigarettes using his arms and hands. Even let people whip him with long thin branches, while not reacting at all. Just so he could fit in and have friends. I remember the teacher finding out and getting so incredibly angry at everyone and started yelling at our entire class in the middle of the class. He straight up begged her to stop blaming people, as he had finally found what he called friends. Anyways, she told him to pull up his sleeves and there were bloody whip marks, bruises and burns all over his arms. The guy just looks at her with a smile and says that he's used to it and he's really happy. The teacher straight up starts to cry and pull him out of the classroom. Didn't see him for long after that as he got placed into a foster home, and as it turns out, he actually was used to it cause he'd been beaten at home for as long as he could remember. Now that I'm older I realize just how heartbreaking it would be to see a tortured 8-year-old boy act all happy because he managed to get fake friends by being beaten repeatedly. When I was 19 and dating my current partner, I was squatting in an abandoned, flea-infested, decaying house while I scrapped by on food stamps and working 8 hours a week because my job was cutting everyone. A friend offered to let me move in with them for a while, but didn't want me to bring my best friend and last member of my family, my cat. I tried to take him to an animal rescue place, but the attendant decided my cat was too aggressive after he manhandled him pretty hard. As I sat in my partner's car and held my cat's crate close to my heart, he lamented to me how unfair this all was and how he knew my cat meant everything to me and how our only option seemed to be to take him to the shelter that told me point blank that if I took my cat there, they would kill him. I looked at him, full of despair at the thought that I had failed my little buddy, who had been my constant companion through deaths and abandonment and homelessness, and honestly stated, "It's okay, I'm used to it." To me, it was Tuesday. To him, he was witnessing the saddest thing he had ever seen happening to someone he was quickly falling in love with, and he began to cry. I was so surprised by his reaction, because why would anyone cry over me or my problems? The good news is my friend changed their mind, and I got to keep him. And when I eventually moved in with my partner, he let me take him, even though he's deathly allergic to cats, and we found ways to work around it for a number of years until my cat eventually passed away due to natural causes. I miss my little buddy, my constant companion every day, but I'm so thankful I got the time with him that I did. I know many people hate on cats and say they're horrible, but that cat was everything to me, the adorable little rascal, and he loved me in a way that I believe few people in this world get to experience from an animal. Hi, yeah, late to the party. 1 minute. My family is probably picture perfect, as long as I pretty much do what they expect. I have been called lazy, retarded, implied that I will be stuck at some McDonald's or whatever. I couldn't even handle the stress of that. If I wanted to, I overslept again due to being unable to sleep and not being able to get out of bed due to depression. Waking up to what, are you fucking crazy? Being told that my medication is a crutch and that it could be a lot worse. I have anxiety and IBS and hyperthyroidism. Yeah, I know it could be a lot worse. It could also be a lot better. I have been called retarded by some Beaches girls from another lacrosse team. I was so nervous on the field, I guess I gave them that impression. I got called weird and strange, or that I don't care, and that I'm probably some asshole that doesn't care, when in reality I was probably silently screaming and crying in the bathroom while trying to push out extremely painful BMS. I had a major depressive episode when I went away to school, and it was past the withdrawal date, but I had been seeing a psychiatrist, but failed too much already, and I asked the dean in tears if I could withdraw. He made some comment about me being in denial or something. I'm still paying that school loan, and tons of other debt I have accumulated from spending more than I earn. I have had multiple jobs tell me they were gonna let me resign or fire me because I missed too much due to illness. I'm a voluntary MT, but my anxiety and depression and IBS have been so bad that I can barely run calls. I used to do paid M's, but it was too stressful. Everything I do is stressful. I'm pretty much venting now, but yeah, I wish I didn't feel this way. I feel like a waste of space. Soon I will be off my parents' insurance. Then I will be on my own for medical and psych stuff. I hope I can get myself back to work, and well before that happens. Working for an NGO in Manila, I came across a year-old kid sitting at the side of the road in obvious pain. I recognized him from when I helped his teenage brother a few weeks previous. He had a toothache then, and I'd given his mum 500 peso for treatment. I later found out that she spent it on a second-hand cell phone. He had a pretty bad toothache on both sides of his mouth now. I told him to stay there, and I went and got the older brother. Brought them both to the dentist across the road. The dentist starts drilling without any anesthetic, and I'm in shock. I immediately reassure the dentist that I'm willing to pay for the anesthetic as well, but he tells me it's not needed because these homeless kids are so used to the pain. They have really high pain thresholds, and a dentist drilling is nothing compared to what they've already endured from untreated illnesses and infected wounds. And it was true. The kid didn't flinch. 2 hours and 2 fillings later, and his pain was completely gone. I seen him many times after that, and he was super affectionate, always hugging me and saying thank you and asking for 20p for candy and juice. Sigh. It's okay. I'm used to it as an everyday occurrence for them. I used to nanny for not the best parents. They were strict and very hard on their kids to the point where any little thing being wrong was cause for yelling. One day I was at their house, and I had left my lunch plate in the family room because I had went upstairs to help out the youngest with something. The dad came home and saw the oldest laying on the couch playing a game and my plate on the table. He starts screaming at the oldest about putting dishes away when you are done, and then tells him he can't play games anymore. Because I just heard yelling in a previously quiet house, I flew downstairs. I told the dad it was my plate and that I had been using it 5 minuets before. I was coming back to get it. The dad apologized to me, not his son, and then went to put his stuff down. I apologized to the son saying I was sorry he got yelled at on my behalf. He said he was used to it. I cried on my way home. I stopped nannying for them a few years ago when the oldest son was old enough to watch his siblings. He's in his first year of high school, and last we talked the parents had chilled outer, but were still authoritarian in how they wanted the house to run. I never judged my parents on how they parent before this family. I just wanted to scream at them to let them be kids. They are not little minions to be seen and not heard. The kids were actually pretty well behaved, but they were expected to never make mistakes ever, or it was the end of the world. Heartbreaking. Just the other day I was talking to my fiance after another one of our petty fights that I started since this month. I don't know why I'm so upset and why I always somehow decide to throw my negative feelings at her like that when she has done nothing wrong. In fact, she has been doing everything right. Nothing's wrong with either of us. Nobody's cheating or abusing the other. Everything is wonderful and normal, except of course when I fact sheet up point we were in bed just after we made up. I kept apologizing to her, and I kept promising her that I would do my very best not to be so angry all the time. That's when she said it. It's okay, I'm used to it. It's who you are. And it truly was sad. She does not have to adjust to my mistakes like that. I know that it's me who has to change, and yet there we were point I still think about it. We haven't argued since, and everything is going well, but I still think about it point I keep hoping that this isn't one of those abusive relationships where she's just quietly suffering. My wonderful fiancé deserves everything good in the world, not petty arguments and major headaches from me. I just hope she stays with me as I work hard to be what she deserves.